Hi everyone, this is Tayson. Welcome to the Data Science One podcast. Today is going to be a special episode that I like to cover a bit of different topic than usual. So let's get started with this. Before we do that, let me just jump on to share my screen. Okay, so today's episode is focusing on how we can actually help out the new graduate students or graduate student on landing their first job with practical tips and hacks. So before I begin, let me just briefly introduce about myself. My name is Tae-sun, and I did my bachelor's in medical biophysics and master's in health informatics at the University of Toronto. And my current occupation is business analyst at the corporate insurance company known as WSIB. And I'm the founder of the YouTube channel called Data Science One. And my specialty area is focused on data analytics, predictive modeling, and data product development using data visualization tools such as Power BI, Tableau, and etc. And I do have some clinical research experience in medical imaging and cancer research therapy. And here is agenda on what we are going to cover briefly. And first, let's just jump into the main problem of finding the first job. So first-time job seeker, like a new undergrad, a graduate student, just got fresh out of the school, right? Have no work experience at all in the usual context. And these people make a lot of common mistake upon their first job searching. So first thing is can be applying to random job, any job that they think they are qualified. Second, even though they're applying for any job, right? They usually don't have a contextual clue on what you're applying for, and like even they read the requirement, they don't have any clue, being clueless. And third thing is basically sometimes upon their job application submission, they do found the mistake that they didn't did the proofread properly, resume, cover letter, etc. And the last thing is basically ultimately people don't have work experience, especially those students who never gone through any internship or the co-op placement. So the cumulative negative facts here is that there's people have basically no interview opportunity and being lack of confidence, and also ended up wasting a lot of time trying to figure out this problem. So before I jump into resume and other toolkit, let me just briefly talk about the job market ecosystem in general. So there are four major players, as you can see on this diagram: job applicants, HR, hiring manager, and third-party recruiting company. So say, for example, job applicants, as a job applicant, I submit the job application through their career website or the portal. Then HR people basically shortlist this qualified candidate's application and then give it to our hiring manager. Their hiring panel, the manager, look at them and review, and they do confirm the successful candidate back to the HR, and HR people send out the invitation for interview. So indirectly, sometimes job applicants can work with the third-party recruiting company, or also the recruiting company work with the HR, vice versa. So say, for example, third-party recruiting company work with the job applicants, and they build a list of the qualified candidate pool, right? And then these recruiting company have a partnership with their contracted vendors or the hiring company partner or whatnot. So they introduce these candidate pool to these hiring companies' HR, and then if HR like them, they basically try to fit and match the job placement. And then upon successful job placement, third-party recruiting company get commission from these hiring companies. So now let's talk about the job application process. So this entire job application process can be broken down into 4 different stages, as you can see on this diagram or the timeline. Stage 1 is initial screening conducted by your hiring company's HR. And then stage 2, once you pass the initial screening, the hiring company likes to test your knowledge, the candidate's knowledge or the abilities related to your job that you're going to be performing, right? So say, for example, for data analytic role, It's going to be programming, problem solving skill, etc. After that, you'd like to have a panel interview in a face-to-face format, which involves a lot of behavioral question and given a situation to explain and solve how you're going to do this and do that. And also, at last, once you pass all those interviews, basically you need to sign the offer letter and negotiate the other details, such as salary, benefit, your job starting date, etc. So this experience, like this timeline, actually was taken from my own personal experience. And it took me about 3 months. So basically what I'm trying to highlight here is that the depends on the certain factors, your job application processing time can be really short or can be really lengthy and long process. So say, for example, if you look at the stage one, this is the most time consuming stage, basically where I had to wait for almost like 2 months. And then some of the factors that I like to mention here is that sector, meaning whether it's a public or is a private sector, and the industry is basically I'm talking about whether it's a retail, healthcare, finance, etc. And the last factor is related to the company size and the popularity. So let me give you an example. So say, for example, you're applying for a job at the Google or at Amazon, right? And these companies are very popular, so everybody wants to have experience there, like work for them, right? So that's why by default, in nature, the job application volume is much, much higher than any other company that you will be applying. So you can imagine that competition ratio is very, very competent. Like it's extremely hard to get in, right? So that's why the entire process can be really lengthy compared to other companies.